build that road to MotoGP in North America and especially across the US. So we've got a mostly American grid, and then we've got a couple of Canadians and a Mexican in the mix as well.
Yeah, it's a superb opportunity. Here they come then on their Aprilia RS250 SP2 machines. They're designed by Aprilia, made by Ovale, and the whole series is promoted by Rise Motor. It's a whole collaboration between Dorna, the FIM, Moto America and the American Motorcycle Association. And put simply, we are looking for the American and its immediate neighbours stars of Grand Prix racing of tomorrow. And what better stage can you think of, Fran, than these guys, young guys and a young lady as well, performing in front of the MotoGP paddock where they could be in years to come.
Exactly, yeah, it is a huge stage. In some ways, a bit of a scary one to begin this new Talent Cup, right on the biggest stage that they'll be on all year. But yeah, it's exciting as well. Obviously, not only getting to race at this stunning Circuit of the Americas, but also to be cohabiting the space with MotoGP and yeah, the Grand Prix paddock and Moto America, of course, this weekend. It's a full program. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what they've got. It's really the beginning of a new little era.
Absolutely, really is. And starting from pole position of this all-new era, we just saw it there. Jesse James Shedden, the number 99, pulling up to pole position for this first go-around. If you watched the Mini GP World Series final back in Valencia last year, you might remember this young man there. He was competing in the World Series final along with Jaden Fernandez, who will be taking off from 5th position. But alongside him today, we have Aidan Sneed and Alessandro Di Mario will be lined up alongside him. The number 95 and the number 7. Fran, we do love the Talent Cup programs, don't we? But they don't half like to make life difficult for commentators. All these young riders pretty much wearing the same lid and same leathers.
Yeah, it's visually appealing and a bit of a nightmare for us to tell one from the other. But this is, like you said, Aidan Sneed on the front row. Impressive stuff from him. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, I think, to see how the pack shuffles as well. Qualifying is a bit of a different beast to a race. It's a long lap for these guys as well. And I talked to the front row, including Aidan, in the MotoGP Premier Lounge earlier today. And the one thing was that the bike was super agile, super fast. They really, really liked it. But they said on the straights here, or sorry, in local parlance, on the straightaways, it felt like they were pinned forever. So yeah, I think they're all enjoying the experience for sure and enjoying taking on this track. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, I think, once the lights go out for everyone at once in racing spec. Yeah, it's a completely different ball game altogether, isn't it? As far as free practice has gone, Shedden has been the star above the rest, and same with qualifying. The only rider, in fact, has had a 2-minute 36 lap time. But how will he cope when it comes to the actual race itself? We're looking at the number 25 of Alexander Enriquez, getting ready to head off on track as well. Lots of these riders, if you're wondering where they've all come from, a lot of them have come from the various mini cup series that there is around the Northern American countries, and that plenty of them come from that. Others, well, it's a fairly new experience. They've got lots of smaller capacity races, but this is really their first go on proper big bikes in a racing capacity. It is, although Aidan Sneed, I think, said earlier that he's also got an R6. So, he has. I saw on his Instagram earlier. He's a bit taller than some of these guys. Doesn't really, yeah, you can tell him. You can tell him in a crowd. Bit of a maybe full head and shoulders above Jesse James Shedden, who's starting alongside. But yeah, I think it's great experience for these guys. And yeah, they've all been riding pretty different machinery, some different backgrounds, but like you say, a lot from the FIM Mini GP North America series. And yeah, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting one. Jesse James Shedden as well, saying he started off on dirt track, yes, and then switched to road racing, fell in love with that. So yeah, interesting resume. He yes, I was talking to some of the organisers earlier. Yeah, he's got a rocking record as an MX kid, but as soon as he switched to road racing, found himself very, very quick indeed. And that's part of this whole series, trying to make, because motocross is obviously so much bigger in the US at this younger age, for riders to come through and try and make it as motorcycle racers. This is to partly show, look, if you want to come road racing, there is a legitimate path for you to do so. This is the first step on that rung. Well, it's actually not even the first step, it's the second step on the rung of the ladder. It is. Yeah, on the road to MotoGP. It is indeed. But yeah, I think Jesse James Shedden is also going to race in the Mini GP series this year as well, so they can do a dual calendar there. But yeah, it was interesting as well. All three of them said they were rooting for Fabio this weekend, of the guys on the front row. And all of their heroes, I think, were Valentino Rossi, and Brandon Pash as well.
Well, so, their most recent Daytona 200 winner.
Yeah, so it was a nice mix there, but it's also an interesting one, isn't it, when you look at the time period since we've had, obviously, the late, great Nicky Hayden getting the MotoGP crown in 2006, and this new generation now also looking to the stars that are there now, whether they're American or not, as we try and bring through more American talent and bring that generation back.
Well, let's get a look at the starting grid then. We got Shedden taking off from Sneed and DeMario, row 1. Row 2 is Enriquez, Fernandez and Clark. Then you've got Salem, Black and Hayden Meng, the number 66 on P9. Spoke to his dad earlier and he's very happy with how he got on in that one. He's really chuffed. And then we've got Arciniega, followed by Visorino, who is Brittany Visorino. Can you guess by the number 34 who her hero is?
You can indeed,
Kevin Schwantz. Degama Blanchet, and takes off from just behind her. Then we have Cunnison, Monk and Roth Jr. And the back rows are Beaudry, Chapin, Singh and then Sanchez taking off from the back. This is a warm-up lap before we get going on the race. It's going to be the longest warm-up lap of their entire lives, physically and metaphorically, possibly. I can't imagine how some of these young riders must be feeling, Fran, because I spoke to, for example, Logan Monk, who said when he first headed out on track yesterday, he was quite nervous at the thought of MotoGP riders and teams watching on. Yeah, I can imagine it's quite a nerve-wracking experience, because obviously these guys that will be on the big screens as well around the track, I guess, and there's still a few guys in the grandstands. The paddock's still pretty buzzing at this time of the day on Saturday. So yeah, for the first race it couldn't really be a bigger stage, like we said, but I'm sure those nerves will disappear a little bit once the lights go out and they're really focused on the race around them and on each other. But yeah, so far so good in the warm-up lap. We're ready to begin a new little era here in North America. Yep, absolutely. Well, whilst the riders head around sort of sectors 1 and 2, I did chat to a couple of them who were kind enough to give me some of their time. I went to chat to Brittany Vaccarino. She's of Italian heritage, is the number 34. She races with her uncle, she was telling me. And the thing I was most struck by was, I said, how did your practice go? And she said, it was all right, but we spent a bit of time adjusting the gearing, which I was helping my uncle out with. She's very mechanically minded, because only in her family is her uncle really sort of invested in the actual racing side, other than obviously her best interest. You get what I'm saying? I do indeed. Yeah, that's cool. It's always nice to see riders who are super invested in everything about racing. Also makes life a little bit easier the further you go up the ladder, I think, as well, because like when you do come from a talent cup, quite often when you get to those kind of upper echelons of the road to MotoGP, like as it's known now, the FIM Junior GP World Championship, you also get taught about bike setup, and you have to, you know, really take an interest in that, and also understand how to communicate what you want to your crew chief and your team. So yeah, it's only a positive, really, isn't it, when you're getting stuck in yourself and really understanding what changes what and how it feels, and also how to do that stuff. It's great. Yeah, it's really, really good. What an enlightening chat it was with Brittany. Wish her very well indeed. She's taken off from 11th on the grid, just behind Arciniega and also Degama Blanchet on row 4. So fair play to her. Hope she gives it all she's got today. It's a successful race. Now, as we come into the final sector, why is such a talent cup so relevant to the amplification of talent in the sport over in the US? Well, these bikes, they're a lot more Grand Prix style. They're more rigid than perhaps the bikes they would ride in Moto America, which is the key to nurturing talent for Grand Prix success. Yeah, I think that's something Sean Dillon Kelly brought up on Thursday as well, saying the rigidity of a Grand Prix bike, whatever it may be, is something quite different. And yeah, this is a little bit more similar to that, and a little bit more kind of experience that they can transfer up the ladder as they move up it. And it's exciting as well to have Aprilia on the road to MotoGP now. Obviously had Honda and KTM in the Asia Talent Cup, British Talent Cup, and then KTM in the Northern Talent Cup. And Red Bull Rookies. And Red Bull Rookies, of course. Sorry, my apologies. Yes, exactly. Not one to forget the Red Bull Grand Prix of the Americas. But yes, it's exciting. New manufacturer, part of the program as well. And yeah, packed grid, ready to race here. You've got to think it's Jesse James Shedden to lose. But racing is an all different dynamic. It is, and anything can still happen. Well, 10 laps to go, a roughly 2-minute 30-second lap time for these smaller capacity Aprilias. That is your pole position rider, Jesse James Shedden, getting ready to head off from Aidan Sneed and Alessandro Di Mario. Who else will we see come up towards the fight of the front? The lights come on and history is about to be made in the North American Talent Cup. Here we go then, adrenaline about to spike, heart rate's increasing probably to 200, and here we go. We are racing for the very first time here at the Circuit of the Americas on this Grand Prix weekend, and it's Shedden who looks like he gets the jump up towards turn 1. That big old climb up here, it is such a steep hill. Who will be the last of the late breakers? I think it's Shedden who has got the run out of the whole shot, out of turn 1, safely down through to this real windy section from turn 2.
Yeah, that was pretty brave to just keep it in there around the outside from Jesse James Shedden. Good stuff. It looked like Di Mario actually got a better jump off the line initially, but then in the shuffle out of turn 1, like you said, the number 99 couldn't be beaten. But I don't think we've had too much change off the front row. Is it Di Mario now ahead of Sneed after that? But yeah, it was a pretty good start from all of them. No one going too far backwards, and no drama so far.
Yeah, that was just looking at number 27 of Chris Clark. They're slotting in towards the top 5, top 6 sort of positions. And here we are then out of this real flowing section, out of turn 9, down that drop from turn 10. And it really is a big old drop for these Northern American Talent Cup riders. Here we go down towards turn 11, and it's that long back straight up next. Who will be getting the slipstream? That's the number 13 heading up the inside there in towards turn 11. That was Jaden Fernandez. Mini GP Series watchers will know exactly who he is.
They will indeed. Yeah, that was a pretty nice move from the number 13 there. And I was wrong a minute ago. Looks like Aidan Sneed did manage to stay ahead of Di Mario in the end into and out of turn 1. But now then we're going to see a little bit of slipstream come into play for these guys. Like you can see, it's a long way on one of these Aprilias. So who is going to come out on in the shuffle? Jesse James Shedden. Far too far ahead to get caught just yet, but Aidan Sneed trying to attack back straight away after losing out on the straight.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive from Sneed versus Di Mario. You can see the different braking techniques they have down in towards turn 12. Not necessarily a case with the momentum that you've got on a full, higher power Grand Prix machinery where you brake about 1 or 2 meters later than normal and off you go towards the grandstand. With these smaller capacity machines, you've got a little bit more margin for error, which I suppose at this age is all the more helpful.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone saw the Super Sport race today, you've got a little bit more margin, but maybe not quite that much. But yeah, so it's a good race then at the moment for second. These two guys still pretty glued together at the moment, but yeah, Jesse James Shedden, just a nice clear bit of air there for him in the lead still for the number 99, and that was a little bit wide there from, I think it was Di Mario, wasn't it, into the runoff. They will need to be careful of that. Track limits are important in race direction. We'll have noted that one.
Yeah, well, here we are then, lap 1 ticked off from the books. Here we go then, Jesse James Shedden in the driving seat of this race, ahead of the number 7 of Alessandro Di Mario, and Aidan Sneed, the number 95, just behind. Here we go, that's a move, an ambitious move round the outside from Sneed, and that was fantastic stuff from him. Di Mario just needs to work on his little braking up there in towards turn 1, but how will he respond in this fast and flowing section? It's still pretty well one line. If you mess up one corner, you've got a bit of an effort to take the lines back on the following corners thereafter. So how will he fare through this second sector?
Yeah, that was nicely done from Aidan Sneed, wasn't it? Looks super confident doing it as well. And yeah, into second then for the number 95, but it looks like he's not going to be able to shake Di Mario just yet. Good stuff from the number 7 to tuck back in there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting as this race goes on to see how it shuffles out as the laps tick down. But yeah, Shedden, like we said, at the moment, pretty sizable gap at the front for him, but a few little groups on track really fighting it out already.
Yeah, we've got just behind the top 3, we've got Chris Clark, the number 27, who I mentioned earlier, made his way through into 4th position. Coming over the line last time around, Jaden Fernandez, the number 13, into 5th place, and then we got Salem in 6th place as well. When they came across the line, well, it was Fernandez about a second ahead of Salem. We've also got Chase Black, who started from 8th position on the grid. Local rider, done plenty of laps around the Circuit of the Americas. Americas in his spare time and training. And look at that, just how many bikes do you want coming down the back straight there? Plenty of slipstream going on. As we see, is that Sneed going around the outside once again? It is. He loves that sort of overtaking move on DeMario.
Yeah, it looks like DeMario is pretty strong in the initial braking there, but then the number 95 just confident to let it keep rolling around and take it back. So nice stuff from Aiden Sneed so far, and nice stuff from both of these guys. It's a great little fight with, yeah, some very different approaches to how to take turn 1, especially last time around. But yeah, great stuff at the moment. Looks like, though, they're losing a little bit of ground to those two just behind them, Clark and Fernandez, because obviously the more you squabble, you may hold yourselves up.
Exactly that. And I'm looking at the timing screens as well. We were talking about how the riders will cope in a race situation with the sort of pressure at hand there in comparison to free practice and qualifying. Well, Jesse James Shedden set the fastest first lap last time around at 2:35. That is actually the fastest lap he set all weekend long, but then again, it was actually the start of the Grand Prix anyways. What would he do this time around? A 2:38, I should say. So they were a little bit off the pace than what he was able to set in those practice sessions. And the number 95, Sneed, shaking his head coming across the line there. I think just a case of forget any sort of errors you're making and just crack on. Never mind that. Overtaking around the outside once again from DeMario. Down turn 1, in we coming towards turn 2 again. That was very neat and tidy. He's got that turn 1 nailed.
He absolutely has. I'm surprised DeMario hasn't sort of caught on a little bit more to that move and just decided to break a little bit deeper and make sure that Sneed can't quite get that job done every time, because so far it's a bit of a mugging, isn't it, for the number 95, making it look very easy. It's not, of course, but yeah, this is an interesting fight between those two. You can see a very different line there. Look like they've got different points on the track where they're stronger. So yeah, I don't know, it's going to be a good duel, I think, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see DeMario trying to close that outside door a little more from now on, because that's what, 3 times now Sneed's gone around the outside.
Looking further down the field, though, it seems like there's been a big error from Chris Clark, the number 27. Unfortunately, somewhere he's been pushed back down to 13th place, unfortunately, for the young rider. One of the smaller riders in the category as well. Some of the, to keep things fair, you look at the likes of Aiden Sneed, who's a bit of a taller character. Well, they need to add plenty of ballast to the other bikes to keep things on parity, especially when you're thinking of coming down the back straight. I was looking, Fran, at the top speeds of the bikes throughout free practice and qualifying, and despite these substantial height and weight differences between some of the competitors, it's all pretty even Stevens, which is good to see.
Yeah, it is good to see indeed. That's what you want. It's all about equal competition and riders letting their talent and progress do the talking. And speaking of progress, Jaden Fernandez now very much in the mix.
Chris Clark has gone down there. Yep, so out of 13th spot, even still. Unfortunately, that's Chris Clark's race and running and hope of points over for today. Here's what happened then coming through turn 11. And the bike just slipped away from underneath him, unfortunately. Back up and okay, which is the main thing.
Yeah, running for the bike. It's not BSB, so you can go and try and pick it up. So good to see Ryder very much okay there then. I'm sure just a little bit annoyed that he's lost out on the chance to get his first points in this Cup, but we'll have to see if he can get back on track. Maybe he'll get some track time that'll help him out for tomorrow. So this is our Lone Star. Sorry, I had to do it.
Oh, there you go.
In Texas at the front, number 99. So pretty much just getting the job done so far. No pressure seemingly visible from Jesse James Shedden. I can't say his name today. I don't know why. Shedden.
You were so excited to say Jesse James as well, weren't you?
I love it. As you can see there,
that's the number 95.
Yeah.
Pointing towards
don't know
the bike at some point.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to signal something about the machine, but you can see there the number 13 of Fernandez then has arrived on the scene here. But Sneed definitely not going to let anyone through on him there. Nicely done from the number 95. Have to see if he does have some sort of problem. At the moment, though, able to stay with those guys okay and not dropping back too significantly. But yeah, it's what's happened there. I think Fernandez has lost a bit of ground there as well. And we should say as well, the graphic came up, but Dylan Singh has crashed out. Ryder okay, it says.
There he is.
There we go.
At turn 12.
Timed.
So actually one corner after we saw Chris Clark go down at turn 11. Turn 12 at the end of the back straight. Here's what happened then with the number 54. We're keeping an eye on there. And oh, just clipped the back wheel of who was the rider in front at the time. I just missed the number. but unfortunately down, but on the scooter
Bit
ready.
of a bad luck crash, that, isn't it?
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Just trying your best to avoid someone else, and then yeah, just bit him a little bit there. But good to see, as we saw on the scooter, rider perfectly okay, and sadly not able to get back in it. But I think Chris Clark is back on track according to our timing screen, so he's at least getting a few more laps in of this fabulous circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, 40 seconds adrift for Chris Clark, so every lap is really valuable. A lot of these riders, they have quite a mixed bag of experience racing and also track time as well. Speaking to some of the organisers, for example, Aidan Sneed, the 95 that we have, fighting for second place. Here he is in the centre of our screen now. Sort of came out of nowhere, really. They said lots of these other riders have a long history. You've seen them coming up through the more mini GP categories, but he's sort of come out of nowhere in the last couple of years and it's just been fast immediately. But yes, it's been a great start to his, well, road to MotoGP career, you could say, but he's lost out to Di Mario at the moment, with Fernandez looking ever present. Fernandez, for example, one of the riders with a lot more experience and, well, according to his dad, here with places to go, let's say.
Here with places to go, I like that phrasing.
Statements of intent.
Speaking of places to go or places we've been, I believe Aidan Sneed has also done the Texas Tornado Boot Camp, so that's quite an interesting bit of experience as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd be happy to have been this quick immediately, because like you said, there's a few guys around him that he's racing with a bit more experience in this kind of, I was going to say business, I don't know what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to see if he does gesture again coming down past the pit wall, because it does seem like he's still very much in that fight with those guys. But here's a replay then of the race start. You can see Sneed just moving over a little bit to tuck in behind the number 99 of Jesse James, and then I think we're just a little bit too zoomed in to see Di Mario properly, but he got a really good initial launch and then just lost out there in the braking zone to turn one. So Sneed already straight around the outside there and into second place, but it's a good clean start from those guys. And here's the onboard then from Aidan Sneed. You can see he'll move over, tuck in behind the pole sitter, and you can see Di Mario at that point well ahead. And then here, these two guys later on the brakes and away in the lead of the race.
Yeah, cracking start that from Sneed, Di Mario and Shedden off of the front row. Here is Shedden once again then. Yeah, this is the beauty of this series as well, chatting to some of the parents and also the young riders as well. Such a mixed sort of set of ambitions and the task at hand here. A couple of them I was speaking to, they're so sort of fresh in their career, they're sort of trying to work out, is this a real path that I'm really serious about following with this sort of road to MotoGP program? Is this something that I actually want to commit to for the, well, potentially the best part of my life? Whereas others, they're here, they know exactly what step they want to be on. And, well, throughout all of them, the same message I got from everybody, though, they said is, which is quite nice to hear, they're all here to make sure they're enjoying the sport as much as possible.
That is good. I feel like we need some sort of little theme tune there, but yeah, that's very good, because that is pretty much the key, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you're going to dedicate the amount of time and effort it takes to really be the best and move up the road to MotoGP, and then within the MotoGP paddock or any sort of top level racing series, be it even Moto America, World Superbike or MotoGP, it's a lot of commitment to make that your life. So yeah, definitely good to make sure you're enjoying it. Don't know if these guys are enjoying the fight too much at the moment, or certainly Aidan Sneed after losing out on that second place. But it's a good little battle, isn't it? And they're still pretty close together on track, which is good. We'll have to see if they can stay together towards the end of the race, because obviously this will be for the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots up for grabs here. And I've got to say, Fran, some of these corners around here must be so much fun on these 250cc machines that are brought to you by Aprilia. This circuit, yes, it is made for MotoGP bikes, but there must be some sections of track which are just so much fun on these smaller capacity, more lightweight machines. Absolutely,
yeah. The key word, like I said earlier on in our chat, was agility. So I can imagine it's there's some places at COTA where you really do need to use that. Was that a bit of an elbow out there? Good stuff. I don't think anyone's going to beat Aidan Sneed into turn one there, so they're going to have to come up with another plan and make sure the number 95 can't do that trick, because it's good stuff there from him again.
Definitely looked like DeMario's learned a thing or two going in towards turn 1, braking a little bit later perhaps. Sneed wasn't able to close the gap anywhere near as much as he had been able to on previous occasions. Worth just taking note of the group we're not seeing on track at the moment. Chase Black, the rider, pretty local to here, plenty of experience around here, has made his way to the front of that chasing pack. He's got Salem and Vaccarino just behind him in 7th spot as well. So that little group, that's a little trio down to 7th spot. So good on Brittany, the number 34, giving it to Salem and Black as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got a Canadian heading up the next group as well. Top Canadian in the field. So that's good stuff from De Gama Blanchet. There's another battle of, I think it's 4 riders, is it there? Yeah, 4 riders fighting it out for 8th place, and obviously a couple of places in the top 10. So there's some good little battles out on track, not for the lead, but certainly for the podium at the moment. These guys closer than ever as we come back to them. And we're on the onboard then. And I think we're on board with Aiden Sneed. I think he's the rider in this group who has the onboard camera. So, yeah, could just see then getting ahead and then losing out there. But looks like he's going to get it back on the brakes. And number 95, not quite, not sticking it up the inside too aggressively at the moment. We do have a few laps to go still.
So after a couple of quiet opening laps for the number 13 of Jaden Fernandez, well, last year's MotoGP World Series finalist has made his way up towards 2nd spot, trying to perhaps chase down Shedden. However, their lap times are about 3 seconds slower than that of Shedden's at the moment. He has absolutely cleared off out front, but after initial couple of nerves perhaps from Fernandez, managed to settle into a rhythm and taking the fight to both Sneed and DeMario along with him.
Yeah, I mean, what you want less than anything at the start of a race and at the start of an entire new year of competition is to bin it at turn 1, isn't it? So if you are going to take it a little bit more conservatively in the early laps and just settle in and know you've got the pace to make that ground back, then definitely the plan of attack for the first ever race of this new series. It's paying dividends for Jaden Fernandez. Looks pretty comfortable as well there in 2nd at the moment. I'd be interested what kind of times these guys could do if they'd leave each other alone a little bit and stop squabbling, because that's definitely obviously yeah, affecting their lap times and not something that Jesse James Shedden has to worry about in the lead. So we'll have to see if we get any clean laps from any of them and see what their times are, because yeah, they took a little bit out of him last time around.
Yeah, Fernandez with a 2:39, so all the other riders were 2:40 or a 2:41, whereas Fernandez, the only rider sort of getting anywhere near Shedden's sort of times. However, it doesn't necessarily matter the lap time you're able to put in. Are you able to keep the other riders behind you? And he's not managed to do that
also
thus far, with Sneed moving back into 2nd spot at this stage then.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 95 is back through into that 2nd place, and it's certainly looking pretty. I mean, people always complain if you use the word racy. Then I start to use spicy and feisty, but that's not quite the right term, is it?
Competitive.
But, very competitive, and not just in terms of pace, but also seems very keen to fight this out and make sure he ends this first race on the podium.
Well, who will get the best drive out of turn 11 there? Proper slow corner that one is, and well, it looks like DeMario's got a pretty good drive on Fernandez out of that one, overtaking him on the outside there. They're both in the slipstream, the fairly big slipstream of Sneed ahead of them. Will they get much benefit on their machines down the back straight here? Sneed punching a big old hole in the air, especially when you compare it to like Fernandez or DeMario even. DeMario proper tucked in the bubble there. Sneed struggling a little bit, certainly one of the taller riders there, and they're all trying to outbrake each other, squirreling on the brakes in towards turn 12, but all safely through. It's DeMario who comes out front in 2nd spot.
Yeah, it is. So I thought he was going to go for it there, but no, not at the moment. We've still got, you know, the whole penultimate lap, final lap scuffle to have out between these guys. But yeah, certainly at the moment, I don't know who you'd pick. Fernandez looking pretty comfortable there, but yeah, that slipstream, that's going to be an interesting one when it comes into play in the last couple of laps for sure, but as will the round the outside manoeuvre that Sneed's pulled a couple of times. So where he loses in one place, may gain in another. It's going to be a good battle, I think, between these three.
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping an eye on the other riders down the order slightly. We've got Black has managed to pull away from Vaccarino and Salem, who are both sort of tied together fighting for 6th spot. Meanwhile, nothing separates these guys as they come across the line once again to complete their 3 laps to go. Shedden out front by 20 seconds now, so it really is his race to lose at this stage. These guys know that. They're just fighting for honours in 2nd position. Blimey, different line choices there. Fernandez, how inside do you want to go up towards turn 1? Yeah,
that was pretty extreme, wasn't it? But yeah, so it's pretty much as you were, though. So these 3 guys still line astern. I don't know why I can't speak today. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a good podium fight, I think. I'm very glad that they've all been able to stay in this to the latter stages of the race, because they've had some great battles already so far, and they deserve to battle it out for those podium places right at the end here after these performances. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. And who have we got then just behind? It's still Black Vaccarino, like you said.
I was just about to say, Vaccarino's actually managed to haul in on Black. I saw it in the back of shot there. They're now a trio once again, so 4 tenths she's managed to gain on Black in the latter stage of that previous lap.
Yeah, good stuff then from those guys battling it out, as well as this fight for the podium. Just enjoying watching it, to be honest. It's nice watching. You can kind of see them learning as they go through the race as well. Yeah, it's got
very much Northern Talent Cup vibes to it, this, hasn't it? I mean, Asia Talent Cup, it's well, the whole dynamic is different because this is the similar sort of setup. You've got independent teams racing. For example, we're looking at we're of course looking at Aiden Sneed, Alessandro Di Mario, and Jaden Fernandez. And obviously Fernandez Racing is the actual team he's racing under. Then we got Sneed, Aiden Sneed, 613 Racing, the team name as well. DeMario, I haven't actually got his team name on my list, but some of them are pretty funky, I've got to say. Moo Racing for Matthew Chapin.
I enjoy that one. It's B&M American Racing Team, DeMario.
Oh, there we go. Perfect, thank you.
My favourite is Chris Clark's team, which is Rumble Kong.
Oh, well,
Rumble
I mean, I'm all for that.
Racing.
Yeah, classic stuff. Ocho Uno Racing for David Roth Jr. as well. The number 81, currently down in 15th spot, the last of the points finishers. And I think he's going to be keeping that because Moo Racing's Chapin is near 19 seconds behind him. Yeah, it looks pretty set, that, doesn't it? I'm surprised we've not had a Van Halen comment yet for what could be David Lee Roth Jr. But oh my gosh, it's going to be a first point there for David Roth, not David Lee Roth Jr. So that's a good start, you know. Even finishing this race and getting some time on the bike is what will be the goal for many riders in the field, because like you said, there's vast difference of experience. So the main thing is to get those laps, get that experience here in this environment, and then make it count and make some progress. And speaking of progress, the number 95 again, really strong round there, isn't he, Aiden Sneed, and back at the head of this podium fight. It's a shame for him that the first corner isn't the final corner, because I think that coming into it on the final lap, he would be a shoo-in for the second position there. It's pretty much the worst place to be strongest on the final lap of a race, isn't it? The very first corner. Ah, Shoaib Salem has crashed out after chasing Vaccarino and also Chase Black, who's actually lost out to Vaccarino now. She's moved up into 5th position, so shout out to Brittany. This is a cracking performance from her, coming through from 11th on the grid. I enjoy your Brittany fan club that you've got going today. I was just gobsmacked by the fact that she was helping her uncle working on the gearing on the bike. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I didn't get to speak to all the riders, and I do want to make an effort to make sure I do before tomorrow's race. However, that particular comment from her was sensational. As we see, who was that nearly going off at turn 11? I think it was Jaden Fernandez. Yep. So the number 13, unfortunately, well, losing out there, but still enough time to chase back onto these two. But that was a very near accident there. What a save, you could say. It was, wasn't it? That was a good little wiggle. But yeah, the number 13 still upright then, but it will be quite a job to try and hunt these guys down. Wow, and if he's not careful, I think Vaccarino and Black are going to be chasing him down and catching him. So could they be in the fight for second come the end of this? Maybe they could, because the number 95 and number 7 here still absolutely elbows out in this battle. Like we said, that's going to cost them some time. And it looks at the moment like it's a little bit calmer for those just behind. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was going to be curtains for the podium hopes of Fernandez
Fernandez, but looking at this, I think the number 13 is going to be back on the back of them pretty quickly.
I would think so too, and this is the stage in the race where fatigue comes into it as well. You know, they're still growing young human beings in general. You know, it's not as if we're talking about top flight athletes. These are growing athletes, young athletes, and it will be really taking its toll putting this amount of laps together in one go as we start the final lap of the race. Shedden way out front, his to lose. Gotta be a win for Jesse James.
Absolutely, it should be, shouldn't it? The number 99 been pretty much perfect from lights out, and yeah, got a really nice gap ahead of these guys, can take it steady on this final lap, but these lads then really fighting this out now. We've got Fernandez back in the mix, and then we have the number 34 then of Brittany Vaccarino and Chase Black just behind her, trying to chase these guys down. And if these guys really do get their elbows out in the fight for the podium, who knows what could happen.
In half a lap, it's come down 1.5 seconds, and these sort of braking manoeuvres in towards turn one is not going to give these guys much of a chance. I can see the number 34. She sniffs a podium. She's going for it. How sensational would that be from 11th on the grid? Super impressive. So Sneed, DeMario and Fernandez, I don't think they're going to have any idea just how close they all are to potentially losing their podium places.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? They're not really going to know how much progress those two guys behind have made. So yeah, let's see what happens here. But yeah, really impressive performances from Black and from Vaccarino to make that progress. You really have visually seen that throughout the race, to just move forward, forward, forward. Great stuff from them. But these guys then, where is it all going to come down to? Is it going to come down to the drag to the line? Is it going to come down to earlier? Are we going to see more elbows out?
Yeah, well, Fernandez out front at the moment in second position, but this is where he nearly his race nearly came to an end at last lap around, but all safely through this time around. Do also want to give another shout out whilst we have the chance to the number 25 of Alexander Enriquez. Started 4th on the grid, but been pushed back during the race, fought back to 7th at the moment. Down the back straight we come then, and it's neck and neck between Fernandez and Sneed. You can see the 34 and the 14 of Black and Vaccarino in the background. They might be too far adrift, or are they? Because it's still only, well, how many points is 0.4 of a 1.4 of a second, I should say, towards the podium. Still a chance left.
There is still a chance left, and especially seeing what happens with these guys. But not so much drama there then at the end of the back straight. But let's see, is it all going to come down to that drag to the line? You can see a very different line there for Aiden Sneed. I don't know, I still can't call it, but at the moment DeMario looking pretty solid there, and Fernandez, great recovery. Can he make a move on those two guys ahead of him?
This is where the natural racer comes out in you. What are you going to be able to outdo to outfox your competitor? Well, Shedden's outfoxed them all throughout the entire race. He's come over the line and he's absolutely won it, but by how many seconds? That's the next question. Box ticked for him, win number 1 of the year, but we're going to focus on this final couple of corners for second position. Who was that running? It was DeMarco running out a little bit wide there, hopefully not beyond track limits. Sneed up the inside into the final turn. That was a dive and a half. I love that as an attitude for riding. He's going to get second position ahead of DeMarco. That was fantastic. DeMario, sorry, third position ahead of Fernandez. Brilliant racing.
Could see that coming, and just gritted my teeth a little bit, but pulled it off to perfection. That a really, really nice move. That Sergio Garcia-esque.
I was going to say that exact phrase.
Exactly,
yeah,
right. Just perfectly between aggression and controlled brilliance, really, isn't it? Nothing too risky, but just getting the job done. Really nicely done, and getting the job done. Speaking of Jesse James Shedden, then really impressive stuff from him. It's 28.7 seconds in the end.
Goodness me.
Really, really impressive stuff from him.
But that visual learning we were talking about throughout that race there, the riders behind down to 5th place with Vaccarino, they're all set with 2:39s on that final lap. So those were pretty much their fastest laps of the race from what I could keep an eye on with our live timing screens. So that is, well, visual learning we're seeing on track here in the North American Talent Cup. I think, actually, I've used that phrase before in the Northern Talent Cup as well over in Europe.
Yeah, you could see it though. And yeah, like Vaccarino, for example, previous best was in qualifying, wasn't it? A 41.2.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a significant little gain there.
Was told by the organisers as well, there's one rider that has actually been going to them after every single session with plenty of questions about the bike and her riding style. Brittany Vaccarino. Great stuff. The attitude to learning. I love it.
You better come back with someone else's CV tomorrow and fill it with facts.
Well, I've also chatted a lot to Jaden Fernandez's dad. You can see him on screens there, number 13. So what's he's not happy with Aidan Sneed, however. But that'll be the racer in him. Jaden Fernandez is one of the riders. I spoke to his father, Alan, about it. At least Alan was what was on his T-shirt. I forgot to ask him his name, so I hope that is correct. He's one of the ones with his eyes on the prize. He knows what he wants. He's decided racing is for me, and I'm here to get it. So I kind of appreciate the frustration he showed at Aidan Sneed there. But he gets another opportunity at it tomorrow.
Yep, for me anyway, we've not seen every single angle of every single lap. I don't think Aidan's needed anything there to merit frustration other than unfortunately beating him, which happens sometimes. And I'm sure that door will be dealt with differently tomorrow if they're in a similar position when it gets to the final bit of the race. But
wow, pretty
relaxed trip over the line, wasn't it?
Showing, yeah, no majors, just like, yeah, box ticked. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, as we see...
Oh,
Aidan Sneed, this is the coming into the final corner. Well, was DeMario a bit too wide there beyond track limits? Will he get penalised for it?
He was on the edge of it.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and I mean, that would be a very difficult one to police, wouldn't it? Because he is also the rider who got overtaken rather than a rider who did any overtaking right after that possible infraction. But from the naked eye anyway, that looked like just about in track limits. You can see those two guys.
I wonder
a handshake.
If Jaden Fernandez was a little bit frustrated at some of the turn one inside line antics and also pushing him to very much the inside line there, an elbow out here and there, perhaps, who knows. I'm sure we'll get to ask them later on. So, great race then to kick us off with a very clear winner in Jesse James Shedden. And then second place, Sneed, DeMario and Fernandez in your top four. Just 2 seconds back in the end, Vaccarino ahead of Black, Enriquez 7th, and Cunnison, Logan Cunnison up into 8th position from 13th on the grid. Well, that is Alessandro DeMario, the number 7 then. We'll be very happy with that.
I think then we've got all of our countries in the top 10. I'm just double checking that. But yeah, we have Canada in 9th and Mexico in 10th. As well
Excellent
as the
stuff. Well, it is North America and its immediate neighbours. Well,
no, North America is the continent, remember? So North America covers Canada and Mexico. Shh. Sorry to break your heart.
Not so clued up on the old geography. But Aidan Sneed then, you can see one of the taller riders, not actually got the standard kit leathers because I don't think it quite fit him very well. Very windy out there, Fran. It's meant to be even windier tomorrow, actually, as well.
Yeah, but good stuff then from Aidan Sneed. Wouldn't be surprised to see him joining the permanent entry list for a good few more events.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sort of come out of nowhere, said the organisers to me, and... well, came out of nowhere and immediately fast. And how about that, finishing in 2nd spot? I think that was really impressive.
You'll see when DeMario, maybe not so much with DeMario, but if we get Sneed and Jesse Shedden next to each other, you'll see there's quite a difference.
John Hopkins in Parc Ferme then, going to congratulate all the young riders and racers in there. He'll be up on the podium, congratulating them as well. He's had a very good day at the office, hasn't he? The American Racing Team rider coach and former MotoGP star.
That was awesome, man. Just heard that bit.
Yeah.
So nice to get congrats from a compatriot and a legend, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So nice to see Hopper going down there, as well as yeah, I think he's presenting a couple of trophies for us as well.
There you go then. Shedden.
Number 1.
I liked yesterday. I went down to watch their very first practice session, them all lining up in pit lane. Shedden, he's got his Oakleys on, he's there, he had his music on, he's ready for it. Others were having a chat with their parents, some parents just doing sort of selfies with them, photographing, capturing their big moment in pit lane in a MotoGP event before they head out. I really enjoyed how much of a family affair it is as well down here. A lot of the sort of mechanics are family, mums and dads or uncles, etc. Family friends even. It's a proper family affair, and hopefully, well, as I mentioned at the top of the show, with Jesse Shedden coming from a motocross background, he's made the switch to road racing to be immediately fast. But you can see what a professional operation and setup, what a viable sort of career opportunity is for many young riders over in motocross. Well, this is the first major step, most recent step, I think it's fair to say, in trying to do something similar for motorcycle road racing in the USA.
It is, and also with the age limits changing pretty much worldwide, certainly on the road to MotoGP in the Northern Talent Cup in Asia. We'll go through results first. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
So we have Jesse Shedden then, the winner. Pretty nice track day for him out front, nearly 29 seconds clear. Aidan Sneed with that Sergio Garcia-esque move at the final corner, and Alessandro Di Mario then completing the podium. So that's our front row, is it not? And then Jaden Fernandez just missing out on the podium ahead of Brittany Vaccarino and Chase Black, who are in that next group. And then there was another little bit of a gap back to Enriquez, Cunnison, Degama, Blanchet and Arciniega completing the top 10.
Then we had Adrian Sanchez, Logan Monk, Hayden Meng and David Roth Jr., Matthew Chapin, Beaudry and Clark bringing up the rear there, with Clark having crashed out and remounted. 2 non-finishers in Salem and Singh. I'm not going to read through the full championship standings because it's exactly the same, but you can see the points classification there for yourselves. The number 99 leads the way in the Riders' Championship.
It does indeed. So, yes.
I wonder if his hero's Lorenzo.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I asked heroes earlier, actually.
Yeah.
No, the answer was Valentino Rossi from Jesse James Shedden.
Interesting.
So,
and no number 46s on this grid either.
No number 46s.
Times are changing, Fran.
So, yeah.
Times are moving on. Be lots of number 20s. I wonder if the number 72 of Jack Beaudry, maybe a Marco Bezzecchi fan, perhaps. Who knows? Adrian Sanchez, a Bradley Smith fan?
Niche. But yeah, so it's been a great race then to start us off, and like I said, hopefully with the age limits changing, bringing us more in line with the US, we're going to see more and more American talent making their way up the road to MotoGP via the FIM Mini GP North America Series, then leading into the North America Talent Cup, then leading into the next steps, some of which are in Europe.
Yes, because it's not necessarily all for all the riders directly into, for example, Red Bull rookies. They get to go to, some of them get to go to the selection event, but also the idea is to give riders experience in a Grand Prix machinery, and they can make that move over to Europe for example, some of the Moto 4 categories that you see in Spain, for example.
Yeah, and European Talent Cup as well. Yeah. We've had Sullivan Mountey, who was in the British Talent Cup last year, is now moving into the European Talent Cup, because it's a bit of a big step going from, I think he's had a podium or a couple, going from that straight up into rookies, etc. That will be a very big step. But European Talent Cup, adding another bit of extra challenge, see where you are there, make your way up. And yeah, get experience, and of course, making plenty of progress.
Aidan Sneed then, and Alessandro Di Mario, both taller than Jesse Shedden on P1 there. Yep. Even though that he was one of the taller. Yeah, well, he was one of the taller riders of Mini GP as well, wasn't he?
He was indeed.
Jesse Shedden.
So second and third place trophies then. I believe we have the honour of American Racing Team Manager John Hopkins. So he's given third, and then second to Aidan Sneed. Congratulations. And then I believe we have, yes, Robert Dingham, the president of AMA.
Well then, how about it? Excellent stuff from Shedden. Into first position. That is one trophy he'll certainly be keeping. Although with his attitude, I wonder if he's just like, next.
Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's eyes on the prize he's got. Well, we'll be having a photo and be listening to the US national anthem very shortly. Well, then that must be pretty special indeed. Hearing your national anthem above a podium at a Grand Prix event. Congratulations, Jesse James Shedden. You're a winner. The first ever one in the North American Talent Cup. Fair play to Snead and DeMario as well. Cracking rides from both of them. And as we were looking at the entry list whilst the national anthem was playing, myself and Fran were sickened by the fact that some of these riders were born on the very same summer that Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner had their corkscrew moment. Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, isn't it? These youngsters already here racing for the first time ever in the North America Talent Cup. And this was the first ever start then for the new NATC. It was a pretty good launch for all the guys off the front row, but in the end, the number 99 of Jesse James Shedden away in the lead. You can see the number 99 already gassing it and making a bit of a gap. These two initially fighting it out over second place, Aiden Snead and Alessandro DeMario. And then in a little bit later in the race, they had Jaden Fernandez on the case too.
This was Chris Clark crashing before remounting in the race, and in the background there you have Singh going down as well, just touching the rear wheel of the rider in front. But meanwhile, none of that bothered Jesse James Shedden. He was clear off out front, just ticking boxes all along the way. Great stuff. This was Fernandez joining on board for the fight for the podium, which almost became a battle of 5 riders, you can see in the shot there as well.
It did indeed, with Vaccarino and Black getting very, very close to this fight by the end of it, making some, as is our phrase of the day, visual progress. But in the end, no, it wasn't to be. It was an, I don't want to say easy win, but a dominant and impressive performance from Shedden to take that win. And then that fight for second, hopefully we'll see a replay of it again, was a Garcia-esque final corner lunge. There you go, Aiden Snead just about perfectly judged that from the number 95 to just pip those guys to the second place on the podium.
We'll see you tomorrow for the second race of North American Talent Cup. For myself and Fran, we'll see you then.